What's up, guys? Welcome to today's episode of Embodied Divinity. Today, we have a beautiful, amazing featured guest, Luke Scott. And we are going to dive into some beautiful conversations around quantum healing. Luke has a vision for holistic healing centers all over the world and so much more. To learn all about Luke and all of the things we talk about today, you can check out the description for his full bio and all the links to his offerings. Thank you so much, and I hope you enjoy today's episode of Embodied Divinity. Okay, everybody, this is Luke Scott, who I just told you all about. Luke, welcome. I'm so excited you're here today. Thank you for being a part of this podcast.
It is my absolute pleasure. I love sharing and meeting new people and connecting with new audiences. So I'm excited to go deep and see what comes through.
Me too. It's so interesting. So I don't know how long we've been connected on Facebook, but I always see all of your beautiful, inspiring posts and just this deepening. And I just want to know, like, how did you even, like, why this? And how did you become who you are right now?
I had this huge spiritual awakening in 2016, and I got connected to this energy that creates everything, whatever you want to call that. And it's been a really beautiful unfolding since that happened, because it showed me these visions of me being on podcasts, being on TV, having loads of books, best-selling authors, and going and sharing the stuff with the world that can really help drive it in a positive direction. And I have two daughters. I've got a 3-year-old and a 4-month-old, and I really feel and think, what will the world be like in 5 years' time if we're not brave now? Like, this is the time where we can, like, the first time ever, you can have your own talk show, right, on YouTube or whatever you want, any platform. And so we can all inspire each other so quickly now. So I will say the brave things that most people don't say. I will speak my truth from the heart and hope it lights fires in other people. And I see this thing, I call it the ripple effect. It's like I light a fire in someone else's heart, they go and share it with someone else, and it grows so quickly. It's like a wildfire. And this is what's happening right now, this great awakening. It's a really cool time to be alive.
It really is. And I love what you said about your kids too, because I know that my kids are the reason that I know I would be passionate about this work, if you want to call it that, no matter what, but they make it so much more impactful because we're not always going to be around. And what we leave this world with is what they're going to inherit. And I feel like people like you, people like me, this collective of, I don't know what you like to call yourself, but light workers or healers or innovators, we're literally changing that projected future for this collective. And it's such a powerful thing. And I think that's one of the things that really caught my eye. You know, I've been really focused on I own a home, but I want to buy acreage and create all of these really amazing communities for people. And that's one of the things that I was really resonant with you in, is you shared this vision that you had about creating a widespread way to heal the collective. And I'd love for you to share more about that.
Yes, I get shown visions. It's one of my superpowers. We all have these superpowers, and it's one of the things I do with people. I help them to see that the things that you were probably told were wrong with you as a kid, they're actually your superpowers, right? So if you were ever admonished when you were a kid for whatever it was, just really look at that. If someone said you were too loud, you're probably supposed to be a public speaker. Someone said you were a daydreamer, you're probably an amazing creative visionary. It's a fun way to play with it. So I get shown these visions of, we're not living in the ideal way for us to thrive. Especially, I live in the UK, and we live in neighborhoods, but we don't even know our neighbors. We purposefully don't know our neighbors. And I'm a very conscious person, and I try and make friends with the people around me, and I don't know my neighbors. I've got a few. And so it's really crazy. And I see these visions of us living in communities. And there's these communities exist all over the world. This is nothing new. But what is new is actually getting the people together and making it happen. I think a lot of us have the vision, but not many of us are actually doing it. So in 2020, this weird thing happened, Nikyla. I don't know if you know about this lockdown thing that went on. It was a bit of an odd phase in the movie. But what I saw was so many people had no community. So I got shown this vision and I got guided with some friends, and we created an events company called Future Proof, teaching people how to live in communities, grow their own food, heal themselves without hospitals, and all of this great stuff. And I would bring these different speakers for conferences, and the conferences were sold out. It was like fantastic. So many people wanted the knowledge, and most of the world was locked down, and we kept doing events because we don't really care about what the government says, right? It's like they're not in control of us because we're sovereign. So we've got these huge groups of people who wanted to build communities. And 2 years ago, a group of us got together. We bought 130 acres of land in Mexico. We're 2 years into the project now. The first houses are almost finished, and we're going to grow our own food and make a go of it and use that as a model so we can get those communities built all over the world, because people like myself and yourself who are brave enough to share on public streams like this, we can collect people quite easily. If you put a call out now, everyone who's watching, let us know. Would you love to live in a community with Nikyla? Would you love to live in a community with me and my friends? Comment community below, right? Let's see how many people. It'll be loads. Now you just get all those people into a big list and you bring them together and you say, okay, where are we doing this? But it takes someone to kind of drive that. So that's the role that I seem to be really good at playing, is bringing people together. So this is the project we're doing. Communities all over the world, holistic health centers all over the world, so people can actually heal instead of just being sick forever and paying for their pharmaceuticals. And I think if we can reform the education system, like, we can create a world our kids can thrive in. And that's pretty inspiring to me anyway.
I mean, it makes me emotional because, I mean, for me personally, I've seen my own life path. I don't know if you knew this, Luke, but I used to be a principal and I was trying to make change in the education system. And when that didn't work, I walked over here into this spirituality place where I've lived for the last 8 years of creating change in the way that we do things. And I feel like what you're speaking about and what so many of us are coming together to do, the reason that it feels so, I guess, scary for some people, I don't know if that's exactly the right word, is because it's absolutely groundbreaking. We're literally creating the new earth here with these, not even just visions, but with these actions that we're taking, that you're taking by creating these communities, by creating these retreat centers. It's changing the entire world. And I think what we're going to see is a huge rip in the way of the different systems and structures that had the perceived authority over us all. And what we're doing, I think even just this conversation, I can feel it within me, is breaking people open to be able to live in that state where they can trust enough to say, yeah, sure, it's all fun and well that Luke's doing this or Nikyla's doing this, but no, I'm packing my bags and I'm saying yes. And I'm choosing this because I can feel the resonance here. And it's why these conversations publicly are so important, but it's also why it's so important to actually take the action and stop just sitting back and envisioning it. And I love that that's what you're doing. I'd love to hear a little bit more about the healing aspect of it. I know that so many of my listeners are one step in of the self-healing new earth paradigm where we don't have to be under the authority of others, and 1 foot out where there's still that fear of like, but is this really okay? And I'd love to hear more about what your healing modalities do for that type of person.
Yeah, absolutely. We're in this amazing age, Nikyla, where we can get information on anything like super fast. You can be in the middle of the jungle or the Sahara Desert, and as long as you've got a phone and a satellite connection, you can download someone's course on how to heal whatever it is that you've got. And whatever condition it is that you have, just type in literally online how to heal from holistically. There will be hundreds or thousands of people that have done it. Like, whatever your thing is, it's not new, and they've been doing this for thousands of years all around the world before pharmaceuticals were invented. So it's bringing people actually back. My friend calls it the ancient future. It's like we're bringing people back to these things that the shamans and our ancestors and the medicine men, medicine women have done for thousands of years. So quantum healing is a really exciting thing for me because it doesn't just treat symptoms, it actually gets rid of things. And there are thousands of documented cases of people who've healed from things that you're not supposed to be able to heal from. A great example is Dr. Joe Dispenza. Have you ever dived into his work?
One of my favorites.
Phenomenal, right? So he gets in an accident, he breaks his spine. They tell him he's going to have all of these rods and surgeries, and he'll never be able to walk again. And he says no. And he lies because he's broken his back in his hospital room, and he just imagines his spine healing itself, vertebrae by vertebrae. 3 months later, he can walk, no surgeries, no anything. So if you can heal a broken back, what can you heal? And one of my teachers and greatest mentors is called Wayne Dyer. If anyone loves Wayne Dyer, let me know in the comments. He had leukemia, and he went and got one of these instant healings too. And he had the cartilage in his knee was completely shot, and they did the scans and they showed his knees were a mess. Then he went to this temple of St. Francis of Assisi, and he had this instant healing. And then his knees were great. And then he played tennis and everything, like no problems. And so if these things are possible, what is possible? And this is what we open people up to. So I'm a hypnotherapist. I've been doing Reiki and energy work since 2016. I've done theta healing and timeline therapy and all different kinds of modalities, and even lived with a shaman for 18 months. That was a bit of a trip. I didn't know he was a shaman when I moved in with him. But yeah, we lived together for 18 months, and that was crazy. So I got told around 2019, I channeled my first book. And when I say channeled, it's like my fingers write it themselves. And everyone can do this. I run channeling workshops, and we can all open ourselves up to this wisdom for it to come through. And it told me to create this modality called Q-RIT, which is Quantum Regression and Integration Therapy, or Q-RIT. And it said, whatever is going on in your life, you can cure it with Q-RIT. And I thought, that's cute. So I like that. But I was so scared, Nikyla. I was like, the thoughts were like, who am I to create my own healing modality? Like, who am I to go and do that? And I really had to go deep and do a lot of inner work. And we birthed it in November 2022. So 9 months ago at the time of recording this. And it's going so well. It teaches people how to heal from pretty much anything, whether it's a fear, a phobia, a physical health issue, mental health issue. If they want to activate their psychic gifts and abilities, it's really beautiful. I've got about 150 people doing the program right now, and everyone's getting amazing results. And this idea that we can create these health centers all around the world, and in these health centers, we can teach these holistic therapies, whether it's Q-RIT or whether it's something else, and we can actually help people get better. Because I've been through the mental health system myself. I was institutionalized for 6 weeks. There's no treatment plan. There's just symptoms and medications for the rest of your life, right? And never-ending therapy. And my wife's been through the same system, and so many of my clients, and it's like, we can absolutely heal. And the information is all there. Just feels like we need a few brave people to come. But there's all these different things in place. I don't know. Have you ever heard of the Cancer Act? Do you know about that?
Mm-hmm.
So the people who are in perceived power, they made this act that if you publicly claim that you can cure cancer, you can actually go to prison. I think it was 1939 they made that, and they started calling
going to prison then.
started calling the people who were saying that stuff snake oil salesmen, because they wanted to tarnish them. And there were people who were saying, take this powdered tiger's blood or whatever. It's like all these different things that they believe could help you. So they made it illegal to say that you can cure certain diseases, which is absolutely wild. So they kind of suppressed what you can and can't say publicly, but now we can just blow all of that out of the water. You can go and read anyone's book who has healed themselves from any disease. And Anita Morjani is a great one. If you know anyone who's got cancer, go check out Anita Morjani's book. It's called Dying to Be Me. It's phenomenal. So yeah, I'm shouting it from the rooftops, Nikyla, but it's not always the easiest thing, especially on social media with censorship. I got my account deleted in October 2020. I had 20,000 followers on my Facebook.
Too. Literally October 2020.
Okay, maybe there's something going on then.
It's Luke, it's so interesting. Before I get into this next spot because I feel like we're going to go a lot deeper. I want you guys to know that everything that Luke just mentioned, there's a link to everything in the description below. I want you to check out all of his stuff and really take your healing. And if you feel a resonance with this and want to take action, Luke has everything available for you, and you can find it all in the links below. And Luke, I think it's just, I love the way, this being our first time really chatting, it's just so interesting, the resonance here. I don't know if you knew this, but I actually had cancer 11 years ago, and it's been one of the main parts of my story of the system would have failed me, right? And being able to heal myself through that and take the steps that I did to stay in remission for 13 years is what made me start to question so much. And I think, like you were saying, with the education system, right, with the mental health care system, and I volunteer a lot in different prison systems, we are in a society that keeps us trapped. We're in a society that wants us to stay in the perception of, I have to do these certain things to be successful, to be healthy, to feel fulfilled. And so many people are living their lives continuously striving for this thing that they have the power within themselves to do all of the time. I see it a lot of, I just transitioned. I work a lot with hip hop artists, and I used to work with hip hop artists that were signed to labels. And this last year I switched to only independent artists. And the difference I see in the freedoms that they are able to go forward with in their music, but not only that, the words they're allowed to say in their music blew my mind. The kind of restrictions that labels and production companies have on these seemingly creative artists and what they're allowed to say in their music. And if you can look at all of these different systems that we have around us that are under regulation, including the Cancer Act that you just opened my mind to, it's a whole lot of stuff saying, I'm going to oppress you and keep you small. And I have this theory that anything that is oppressed in our system is one of our greatest powers as individuals. And I think that what you're touching on here in this conversation is just that. It's just the same thing that you said with your childhood. Anything the system's telling you not to do, if you can take it and flip it and start to say, I'm going to use this as an internal sovereign power. What can I do in this world? It blows my mind.
Yeah, the Cancer Act is an act, it's not a law. So if you ever go and look up common law and sovereign law, it's an act, it's not a law. It's like, if you don't ascribe to it, it's not relevant to you. You have to opt into those things. So learning to say no and saying I do not consent is a huge piece. And I am also do singing. I'm a performer. I sing my own medicine songs in my ceremonies. I was doing the backing vocals on one of my friend's songs. They released this song called We Are the 99%. It's called the Daz Band. Go check them out. And he wanted to get it to #1. And it's all about freedom and everything. And we were recording it in a music studio, and they didn't know what we were recording. We booked it. It was beautiful. And they kicked us out when they heard the lyrics. We recorded all the backing tracks, everything. And as soon as we started singing the lyrics, they kicked us out. And they said, we cannot have our recording studio associated with you singing a song about freedom. And it was quite an explicit song. It talked about all the words you're not allowed to say on social media. And it was brilliant. It's so funny. Go check it out. It's on Spotify. We Are the 99%. And that's just such an eye-opener. So then we rented this warehouse that my friend has, and we had to make our own recording studio. Obviously, it's a bit different, right? But we finished the song and we got it out. And it's the more they try and suppress us, the more creative we get. Humans are so creative, and it's so fun to play like that too, because we'll always find a way.
Yeah, sorry, my Siri. So you said something, and my Siri took over and bleeped that whole sentence out.
Hi Siri, I said humans are so creative. When they suppress us, when they try and push us down, we will find a way. It's such a great thing. And what happened in 2020 was actually brilliant, because it made us move. It made us move. It made us do things that we hadn't done before. And so I kind of like when I see things, and I'm not condoning it. I'm not saying it's okay, but there's this thing at the moment. I run loads of different things, but I run a news channel called the Truth Speakers Network. If anyone wants to join, it's very deep. It's on Telegram at Truth Speakers Network on Telegram. we talk about all the things you're not supposed to talk about, right? And there's this thing at the moment about trying to block out the sun. Some people think that's a good idea. Now, you can get angry about that. You can, of course, if you choose to, if that's your reaction. Or like what I do, because I live in this unity consciousness. So everything's part of the oneness. It's all a part of the movie. I know that when they try and block out the sun, a whole heap of people are going to realize how important the sun is. But no one knows how important the sun is, because we use sun creams and we use sunglasses and we hide from the sun because we're scared of it, because of the CANCER word, right? So we're scared of it. And now people are going to go, wow, actually, you can't block out the sun. It's when they try and take something away, people realize how important it is. So everything that happens that tries to make us more scared and more suppressed, it's just going to lead to more expansion and awakening.
So let's talk a little bit about fear. Can we?
Of course.
The reason that I'm feeling called to share this is because whatever perspective you might have on this, what I have seen is there's a type of person like you and me, and so many, which I'm so grateful for, so many people who have started to find the courage to do this. But unfortunately, still the mass majority of the world is still deeply ingrained. And while they are waking up, with that ingrainment comes what has been the plan all along, right? To feel that penetration of fear through this huge program we've lived in for so long. And so as we're speaking about this, I think it's one thing to hear it and feel it. But what would you say to that person who is feeling this and really starting to be like, oh my gosh, this is true. I've seen this, all of these things, but maybe their whole life is built around the system. Maybe they don't know how to support their family without their 9-to-5 job. Maybe they don't know how to live without the government supports that they've been dependent on. Maybe they don't know how to say no or see the importance of not blocking out the sun because they're just one tiny person against this whole system. I've heard that so many times, and I'd love to just hear your perspective on what you would share with that person.
Most of us, and this is myself included, for the first 27 years of my life, I was walking around and it's like I had these blinkers on. I didn't even look at anything. And I had a friend around 2011 who was wide awake, but we all thought he was crazy. But he was telling us that they're spraying all of these things in the sky and there's all of these conspiracies to do X, Y, and Z. And we just ignored him. It was about 5 years later, those seeds that he planted in me sprouted. And 2016, I was ready. And now I'm doing the same thing. I'm going and I'm planting all of these seeds, and I don't know how long it will take or if they even will turn into anything. Maybe it's not for those people in this lifetime. But one of my best friends, he heard me talking about this stuff for about 4 years. And then he had his big awakening. And now he's like so powerful and it's incredible. And he comes to me all the time with these new things, and he's helping me now because he's on a really accelerated path. And so it's not a pressure thing for me to like make people not be afraid, but it's to say, hey, do you know you don't have to be afraid? And you can do breath work or meditation or yoga or Q-RIT or hypnotherapy or whatever, loads of different therapies you can do. Fear is a choice now. And also reprogramming what we make fear mean. So for me, fear is actually a really great thing. When I'm scared of something, that tells me I'm doing something edgy.
I think you froze right in the middle of that sentence.
Oh, amazing. So when I feel fear now, that tells me that I'm about to do something that's in my growth zone. Tells me I'm about to do something edgy. And if I'm not feeling that, if everything's really comfortable, that's okay and that's nice. I kind of look for those things actually that I'm a bit scared to do.
You're breaking up again. I'm
It
not sure.
changes your life. So I I try and instill that in everybody: fear and excitement. Oh, I'll change my internet. I'd love to know the way you feel about fear. If we can do that, we can transform.
Absolutely. And I think that's a really beautiful way to answer it. And I think that's a really beautiful way to answer it, Luke, because that's kind of the way that I was hoping that you would lead into this, is that there's nothing you have to do. If you feel a resonance with what you and I are saying today, if you feel a resonance when you see or hear these things, right? It's about just letting that be within you, letting it take up space within you. It's when we apply that urgency and pressure to it, right, that we can often knock ourselves off track. But if we can just simply say, I'm open to this, I'm open to life happening through me, and I'm open to this fear showing up in me, and I'm really excited about what this might mean, and I'm open to this new perspective. The beautiful thing that I've come to learn about the universe is that it's this perfect unfolding, right? Your life experience has given you your blindness for that 27 years. It's not like you were just sitting idle. You were learning skills and tools and ways of being. You were going through trials and tribulations that strengthened your ability to hold what you hold now. And the same thing for me. In the middle of cancer, I couldn't have told you that it was a blessing. In the middle of my abuse, I couldn't have told you that it was a blessing. But on the other end of it, I can absolutely, without a shadow of a doubt, say that I know exactly how and why it happened, and how it created who I am now, and gave me the capacity to have this conversation with you. And I think that's the biggest thing for all of our listeners, whether you're really excited and ready to jump in on this new train of thought, or whether it's opening something within you. Just let yourself explore it, and know that there's beautiful people out there like Luke, creating these communities, these healing modalities. And like he said, he has this entire program that can walk you through step by step of how to achieve this for yourself, so it doesn't have to be hard. And I think that's the cool thing about people like you and me, is we did it so that the pain and the suffering and the hardships can be lessened for those who are opening and awakening now, just like your friend for you planted all those beautiful nuggets, so that the moment you were ready to awaken, it was like, oh, I have so much information already within me because of him and his consistent efforts. I think it's beautiful.
It's absolutely beautiful. And we feel sometimes a lot of pressure as humans, and we can compare ourselves to other people. And that's totally okay if that's your choice. My experience is that that usually creates a lot of suffering when we try and be like other people. And so you might see someone like myself and think, wow, how is he so confident? I didn't used to be confident. I had to learn public speaking. I went on a 1-year course. I paid like £12,000 for this mentor, and he made me cry so much. He broke me down, those real snotty tears that you get, those real deep ones, and made me face all of the parts of me that were scared to talk about my truth. I could talk about business, no problem. I used to be a sales director for an international software company. I was, making really good money doing all of that stuff. I could talk about that, but to talk about my actual truth and what was in my heart, that was a whole journey to go on. So everyone who's tuning in, just know how incredibly valuable you are wherever you are on your journey. Even if you just smile at that checkout clerk where no one smiled at them all day, like that makes a big ripple. And if you're raising your children, or if you've got young people in your life, or if you're a teacher, like, or whatever it is you're doing, you make such a difference. And if you obviously do say, yes, I want to come and start making podcasts and build healing centers and getting communities, now you're just taking it to a whole new level. But you don't have to do anything. Everything will get done. There are, I believe, these soul aligned things that we can do. I can call it the highest timeline. There's a path that you can choose, which will be absolutely incredible and expansive, challenging sometimes, beautiful at the end, like Nikyla just talked about. And people call it the Akashic records, they call it all different kinds of things, but when you start playing in regression, past life regression, spiritual regression, quantum regression, you get to see all of these different aspects of this. And for me, it brings a lot of peace when I realize there's no pressure. If you don't do the podcast, if you don't write the book, if you don't help that person, someone else will help them. They're not going to just give up just because you're not there. They'll find a way. Humans are so resilient, and we find these ways to do all of these things. So really honoring yourself wherever you are. Some people are the visionaries, they have the big visions, and some people are the supporters. And the supporters are just as important as the people who have the visions. No one's better or worse or anything than anybody else. If you are an amazing person who can come and help us, like, please come and help us. The behind the scenes people, they're the superheroes a lot of the time. And sometimes you just need someone like myself who maybe can be a front person and bring people together and speak the visions into reality. Everyone has their different roles, and I think that's a really beautiful piece of medicine. If you can accept that you're amazing as you are, there's nothing you need to do, but find the things that feel exciting and expansive and maybe a little bit scary, and they'll probably be a great path to go on.
I love that so much, Luke, and I've so enjoyed this conversation. As we start to wrap up here, I'd love to hear where you envision the future going and what part you're playing in it and what part anyone inspired can start to play in joining this.
Oh, I have such a great vision. There's this 2030 vision that a lot of people are talking about, and they're leading to this place where we'll all be in our homes with barcodes and chips and all of this stuff. And it's a fascinating vision. It's not the way I'm seeing the world being. So we actually have a 2027 vision. So we're going to transform the world in the next 4 years. So we're going to get ahead of that 2030 vision. With the way that things are awakening now and this access to information and the ripples that are happening, we can absolutely transform the world in the next 4 years. So in the next 4 years, probably the biggest thing that will happen is the majority of people on the planet will live in unity consciousness. So 51% or more of people on the planet will live in unity consciousness. Now that means that you know that you are a part of me and I'm a part of you, and we're all a part of the oneness. You can never hurt another part of you if you're in unity consciousness. It wouldn't make any sense. You would never lie or steal to another part of yourself. You would never damage the earth. You would live in this harmonious way. So that's probably the main thing we're calling in, but it involves reforming the education system, reforming the food production system, because most of the food we eat now is not actually food, reforming the healthcare system. And like I said, one of my superpowers is bringing people together. So if anybody would like to come and be a part of this, I got guided to make this group called the Visionaries. It's a completely free group. We meet about once a month. You can come and share your ideas, whatever that is that you are inspired by, whatever industry it's in, and people can support you. You basically come and pitch it, and there's a full free training. I did this 2-day event where I taught people how to pitch their ideas. So you get all of that for free. It's just I just want to help everyone. So come and pitch your ideas, get people to support you, and it would be amazing to have you as a part of that group. Just search, at the moment it's on Facebook. It's called The Visionaries with Luke. You just type that in and you'll find the group. Come and join us. It'd be wonderful to have you in there. Whether you are a visionary or you see yourself as one, or whether you are someone who would love to support someone else's vision, please come and play. It's a great fun group of people, and we're here to transform the world in the next 4 years. So we need to get our skates on a little bit.
Wow. Luke, you are so incredible. I love all the transformation and healing you're bringing to the collective, and how easy, more than anything, how easy you're making it for everyone who feels called to join and to make a difference. And I'm so grateful for you for that. Thank you. Is there anything
You
else you
too.
feel like you want to say here today to this audience as we're sitting?
Yes. I'd love to invite everybody to take a nice deep breath into their belly and out. And just give yourself a moment to feel how you feel after this conversation and the things that have been stirred up. And it's amazing to listen to things like this. And it's amazing that you are open-minded enough to be here and to spend your precious life energy raising your consciousness. It makes you, I call it people on the leading edge of consciousness. That's what you are, everyone who's listening. What percentage of people would come and listen to a show like this? It's quite astounding, really, when you think about it. So I'd love for you now to tune in to one step that you could take, inspired by this podcast or inspired by any of the things that we've talked about or stirred up today. What is one step that you could take that will bring you into the direction of your highest timeline? What is one step you could take that will bring you more into the direction of your highest timeline? And see what comes through. You can write it down. You can journal on that question for a long time if you want to. And once you have the step, now all you have to do is go and do it. And if it's a bit scary and you need some support, you can reach out to myself, reach out to Nikyla. We're here. This is what we do. We're here to help people be more brave. And if I can support you in any way, or if there's any collaborations or anything, just reach out. It'd be wonderful to connect with all of you. And just thank you for being so incredible.
Thank you again, Luke. This was absolutely beautiful. And to everybody listening, I'll make sure you have every link mentioned here today to make it as easy as possible. As always, breathe deep and plan on miracles.